Maken X Machina.
Hello, fellow Megatennists, and welcome to the Hello, Fellow Megatennists podcast. I'm your host, LaRue, and with me is Spider.
Hi.
Glib.
Yo.
And
hello.
Today is a very special day. Instead of our normal schlock, we're going to talk about Maken X and Maken Shao. Yay.
Yeah, so this is sort of in the vein of a Spoilercast. So if you want to play this game and don't want to know what happens in it or how to beat it or do anything else, then please leave. Play it and then come back to gain our very valuable insight into the games.
Speaking of insight, do you want to kind of break down the story?
Yeah, so with the story, it gets a little out of control later on because it's a lot going on. But the very basic premise is that you are playing as Kei Sagami, who is what is she, like early high school girl, like very young. And her dad is some kind of big scientist who invents a sword that can absorb consciousness or something. It's very on par with the franchise, but it's all this unintelligible, like psychobabble stuff. And basically, the long story short is you get merged with a sword, and it's now your friend, and it allows you to sort of mind control other characters, which introduces the character selection system. And you travel across the world doing whatever you want, because you can choose to side with sort of the more chaotic characters or the more order characters, or do your own neutral route, which makes it a very sort of Megaten adjacent game, which is why we're doing it, even though it's not technically in the franchise. But yeah, it's sort of set in like post World War II. There's like Nazi imagery, and Europe is overrun. But yeah, that's sort of a very short Cliff Notes version of all the stuff going on, because there's a lot more than that going on. A lot of geopolitics and other weird stuff.
Yeah, this is one of those weird games where there's a lot of plot, I would say, but it just seems like it's not given in a way that's easy to digest, if that makes sense. There's also a manga. Did anybody in the group read the manga?
I read the manga.
I mean, you're not a real gamer unless you read the manga before you play the game it's based on.
One of the interesting things I thought about the manga versus the game is, in the manga, Kei is definitely the protagonist. In the game, Kei is not the protagonist at all.
Yeah. In the game, you're basically the sword, and Kei shows up in cutscenes. But in the comic, she portrays much more of like an in-control relationship with the sword, where she can assume, reality or whatever. Where in the game, you're choosing which character is at the forefront.
Yeah, their relationship in the game is a bit more not great.
One-sided.
Yeah. They don't get along as well.
Yeah, it's also much more gory. This game is like rated T for teen. It's got some sort of spooky stuff going on, some sort of disturbing imagery, but not really much blood or guts or dead things, really, right?
Yeah, Haya Shirikyu, the mangaka, she likes her gore.
Yeah, that's it. It was insane, sort of seeing the disparity between the two. Like, you see people like skinned alive and like decapitated, and some of the characters look a lot more grotesque. Some of the evil characters, it's pretty disturbing, but very, very cool.
This is sick, to be honest.
I think it did the intro better than the game did for what was his name?
The Swordmaster guy. Yeah. I forgot with the big thing over his eye.
Faye's brother. I forgot what his name was.
Yeah, that was so weird. So basically, for anyone who is not aware of the manga, when you get to the game, you get to like the second chapter. You're in Beijing or Hong Kong or somewhere.
Hong Kong,
yeah. And so you meet this lady, and she's like one of the sort of, I think she's a blade master. I don't remember. but part of like a big group of like sort of good guys, quote unquote. And her brother is like sort of the fuel for her revenge or something, but you don't really see that in the game. I don't think he even shows up. They just show her, and then you meet her.
He dies like in the intro cutscene.
Oh, okay. I played a really weird emulated version of the game, so I may not have seen that part.
Yeah, he doesn't even fight. He just dies.
Good.
Cool guy.
Which one of us play, or which of you guys played the original version, Maken X, and which one of you guys played Shao?
I think we all did emulated Shao, PS2 emulation.
I did.
Except
I did
you.
X.
Yeah.
I actually
I
played
did Shao.
Glib, what'd you do?
I played
X.
You emulated X successfully? Damn.
Yeah, what I had to do was it wouldn't work at first on my desktop because every time I beat a level, it would crash at the cutscene. So what I did was
that's hard mode.
I went to some site and I downloaded a save file that was completed. And I just played levels over again after that.
That's what I should have done. I hadn't even thought of that because what my problem was, I would it would emulate perfectly fine. I was using I think it's called Redream. It's actually a really good Dreamcast emulator for a lot of games, but it didn't like Maken X. And that's what I should have done because it only crashed on the plane level at the very beginning. It would try to load in too much stuff when the explosion happened and the plane was about to crash. So I think it just overloaded it. But if I could have gotten to a different level, maybe it would have worked better.
So then, since all three of you guys emulated it, how was your experience? I guess. I mean, we already kind of got a read on Glib's experience, which sounds very bad.
Yeah, it was nightmarish. So I emulated on PCSX2. That's what I ended up doing for Maken Shao. I went through at least 3 ISOs for that before I found one that worked really well. And even then, it would do the weirdest shit. Like the textures would all sort of like stretch and warp. And this wasn't. I don't think this was an emulator issue either because I had messed with all the settings. I couldn't get it to change. So it would make certain fights really hard because one of the textures would just stretch and cover like a third of the screen, so you couldn't see what was going on. And then the other really weird thing was that for certain bosses, for I think 3 different bosses, the game state would slow down to like 1 frame per second. And it was running at 1 frame per second. So I would have to like frame perfect put in the inputs to fight this guy. Because whenever my character viewed his character model, or her, whichever boss it was, it would be like a slideshow. Like 1 frame of what's happening, and then the next, and the next. It was a nightmare. But overall, I managed to finish the game. So, what are you going to do?
I didn't really have any problems besides the enemies freezing and not doing anything. That was pretty obnoxious and boring, but
Could you still kill them, or?
Yeah, they just stood there.
That's easy mode. I got hard mode. What the fuck?
And occasionally they would start moving. But it didn't happen too often. It happened mostly with the really big enemies, like the really bulky ones.
I think that's the game. That happened to me on X too.
Yeah. So I don't know what's up with that.
I mean, I played it on my Dreamcast.
Nice flex. Cool.
It's like one of the... I have like 3 Dreamcasts, just so you know. I have the sports one too.
That one's the worst one.
But it's black.
Go on.
Anyway. Since I didn't emulate it, I didn't really have any issues like that. There is a weird thing where sometimes enemies just don't move, and it probably is just the game.
It was happening to me quite a bit at the start, and it happened less later on when the enemy variety was a bit better. But it was mostly those really big, bulky ones that they just stopped. It was really obnoxious.
So what are some of the, I guess, gameplay mechanics that you thought worked well?
Circle strafing.
that was a very effective way to play the game. The mechanics are a little bit rough. It's a very early 3D game. We're talking 1 joystick 3D, like the olden days. Yep. And boy, I'm talking about Shao, because just to reiterate for the folks at home, Maken X is first person, and Maken Shao is third person.
Yeah.
Very weird difference, very strange design choice to make that shift. But yeah, I think I like the third person overall more because it gave it more of like a action slasher, sort of like, you know, it's hacky to say Dark Souls, but like, what else do you call like a third person action game where you cut stuff up with a sword and you can roll and lock onto people?
Sekiro.
It's a lot of, yeah, exactly. But speaking of Dark Souls, an interesting thing is the dodge. There's a dodge button, and the dodge has invincibility frames on it, which is very cool. Not every game does that. A lot of like these actiony games, they don't necessarily put that in there. So it's a really interesting touch that gave the fights a lot more depth beyond the, you know, crappy handling and controls of the camera and being in this weird one joystick 3D world.
Yeah. I mean, I hate when people call games clunky, but this is one of the few times where
this is clunky.
Yeah, that's like the most apt way to describe it. I played X. Oh, go ahead.
So you said Shell has a dodge button. So it's because I know when I played X, the dodge was just pressing back. Was pressing back while you press jump. Is it the same thing or no? So I remember when I played the game, when I was trying to like dodge around and stuff, I still get hit and then over attack. So I don't know if that's like the same thing or not. I don't know.
There's a block and a dodge.
Yeah, I think if you dodge forward, you jump over possibly, and I think maybe the behavior changes if you're locked on too. That's possible.
You can't jump forward in Shao.
Oh, you
have to walk all the way up to them.
Yeah, for X, that was such a cool thing that you could jump over people, right?
That's pretty.
Yeah,
that's really handy.
Yeah. You guys don't have jumping? What?
You can jump back. You just can't go forward.
Yeah, but we have invincibility frames, dude. It's tight.
Well, I preferred the first person aesthetic, to be honest. It felt like I was playing a very bad or mediocre arcade game or something.
It was much cooler because it was so unique. But from what little I managed to play, because I didn't manage to get past like the first level because it kept fucking crashing. It didn't. I felt more uncomfortable like fighting people in X, but it was much cooler, and I liked the, like you said, it reminded me of House of the Dead almost.
Yeah,
not on rails.
There was also this like weird samurai arcade game where you have to like think you kill zombies and ghosts and stuff, and you have to hold like the peripheral is actually a sword, and it reminded me of that game a lot.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that, but boy, do I love some House of the Dead 2, which this game is not. Does anyone else have any other gameplay mechanic stuff? Because I feel like there's not a ton to go over.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Like, do you have any bosses you felt like were fucked up to fight, or?
I was gonna say the entire control scheme is just terrible.
Okay.
Because it's one stick. I hate having to turn, then move forward, then turn, then move forward, then turn. It is so slow, and it almost got me killed almost every level. It was very bad.
Well, that's how people used to walk back then. Like 2004, 2000 whatever. That's how we walked. It was only after past 10 years we figured out how to move in 3D.
I got lost at the very beginning of the game with Inaba, and I tried to fight the ice skaters with him. I almost won, and then I found out, oh hey, there's another level I can go through.
Yeah, too. It's no direction in this game.
Yeah. They do an okay job, because sometimes what they'll do, which is good, is they'll be like, and in Hong Kong, which you were talking about, sort of partway through, they show that a ninja guy turns off the lights, and you can see, like, based on context clues, that he's down the hall. So you have to walk down a dark hall and be careful you don't get ambushed, and then turn the lights on. So it's like, okay, that's the direction for where I go next. But other times it's like, here's a hallway in this 3-floor building that you've never been on, and we're going to show it to you, and you don't know which floor it's on. So you're going to have to, run around looking for it. It may not even be in, the forward direction. It might be behind you. And you didn't go there.
Also, the last hijack you do, the little drill move he has, I never figured out how to use that. I was just like, okay.
The last brain jack?
The president.
Oh, the president was fucking baller. So we'll talk
But
about
how do you
later.
use the drill?
We'll talk about this. We could spend a whole thing talking about just the characters and all the different stuff. So I think we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, it's just his little drill hand was like.
I love that guy. He was awesome. I wish he was the president now. That'd be so fucking cool. But yeah, for the bosses, I feel like they did an okay job. Some of them were pretty dumb, but some of them were kind of inventive. Like, did you guys fight the angel boss?
I don't think I did.
Oh my god. Well, I have no one to talk to about this now. So
try fighting all. Wait, what?
I did. I fought everyone except for the Blade Master bosses, and the guy in India. Quick plot point for everyone out there: your choices in this game actually matter. Early on, you get a prompt that says, one of the Blade Master people's like, "Go fight in India for me, please," and you can be like, "No," and then you just never have to go there. But the downside is if you're going for certain endings, of which there are 7 or something like that.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah. You can fuck that up by not going to India, turns out. We'll get to that in the ending section. But anyway. Any other insights on bosses, levels?
Nope.
Stuff?
It just felt really short. I don't know. It's
really?
You just
what ending did you do?
I did I don't know. I guess it's the neutral one. What happens in it? It's you side with Maken or something? No, you side with you don't do
the bad guy one.
You don't do the Blade Masters, and you don't do.
Oh, so it's like a neutral route.
Yeah, it's like a really bad ending, actually. So bad.
What do you need to beat everyone with that, or no? I thought you need to fight everyone to do the Maken.
No, I don't know. You get it's the ending that I got. It's the one where I guess Kay doesn't die. Does she die in multiple endings?
Yeah, I don't know.
She does. So I looked up all the endings after I fucked up mine.
Let me see if I can find the link to I don't even.
So basically, one of the endings is Blade Master route. So there's two main factions in the game that you encounter in different levels. There's the Hake and the Blade Masters. Blade Masters want to keep the world the way it is, so they're sort of order. The Hake want to support the main bad guy and sort of revolutionize everything. And I don't even know what their plan is. They want to kill a bunch of people or something. I don't know. But they're sort of the chaos guys, and so you can choose either of those. And then there's a pure neutral path, and there's several bad endings where you sort of do the wrong thing, like Maya.
If I remember correctly, they had a guy who could he can send his energy through the TV and stuff, and he can control your mind through any
I think it's the India guy, yeah, right?
Something like that. I don't know.
That's part of their plan.
That was India guy. Yeah, that's India guy.
His part of the manga was tight. He was crazy.
So I was saying neutral route, but now I'm looking at the different endings. That's the Maken one, the hard to get one. I didn't get that ending. I got the one where you save K. What, according to this game facts, that's what it's called. You choose to save K.
Okay. Well, you chose that, I guess. Yeah, I think those two that you choose, or I guess those first. The way it's formatted is weird. Basically, 4 of those first 5 are sort of the same thing with a slight difference. I got you choose to save the world, I'm pretty sure. Because
the world comes first.
Yeah, that one. So in my ending, I beat the bad guy and I did everything right. And apparently Kay died, and then Maken was the only thing left in her body because she gave a creepy robotic glance at the camera. That's how you know that's a ending, I guess.
Yeah, he eats her image or something.
I think
he supposedly does that to other people too. After a while, he eats them.
Yeah. One of the things about the story is that it kind of reminded me of Parasite. Maybe because I just watched Parasite again.
What is Parasite?
Aliens come and they take over people's bodies, except the protagonist who has the parasite trapped in his left or right arm.
Huh.
And then they work together to stop the parasite faction.
Yeah, that's kind of vaguely similar.
So what were some of you guys' favorite characters? I just gotta ask that.
I like the fan lady. She was cool.
Yeah, Faye is Faye Sean, or I forgot what her name is.
Yeah, something like that. It's like 2 words.
Wow.
They're all the same. They're all the same.
It's been a while since we all played this, okay?
It's like Blade Yeah, it's Fei Shan Lee.
Yeah. So since I played all of the content, I brain jacked everyone, which is a mechanic I forgot to mention earlier that I thought was cool. Like, a lot of people introduce character select differently in sort of actiony games. And this way is really funny because you encounter different people and then you mind control them and use them as an avatar for the Maken to go around and do quests and stuff, which you can do to good guys or bad guys. And it was introduced really cool to me because, they tell you on the plane, they give you the choice to mind control the pilot if you want, so you can fly away off the plane when it's crashing. But for me, when I realized how more open-ended it was than that, was I met that fan lady in Hong Kong, and I was like, what if I knock her out in mind controller? Is that an option? And I did it, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Not a lot of these older games give you those options.
Yeah.
But my favorite character by far was the president was number 1. The second was the angel guy.
The one with the blindfold or something?
Yeah, the angel guy is a really wacky
now.
design. He kind of looks like Metatron-y.
He's one of the coolest designs in there, although he's really bulky.
Yes, he is very big, but he has a bulletproof guard, which is very, very powerful. So he doesn't have a blindfold. He has 2 tiny angels on his shoulder that are covering his eyes with their hands.
Oh, okay.
It's so over the top, at least in Shao. I don't know if in X he looks different. But
he looks the same.
Yeah. He's tight. Look at that. Or I guess it's just 1 angel. And he has a giant scythe. Yeah, he rolled. He had huge reach, bulletproof guard, and he had like a dive attack that did 1 million damage. So he is my second favorite. But the president was the best. I discovered a very cool thing. So what you can do, at least in Shao, at least in the emulation I did, every character has a combo attacks. You press the attack button, 3 times, and he'll do a different string than normally just doing punch, punch, punch. I found out that if you hold the stick in a certain direction, he'll move while he's doing that. So he trivialized like every encounter because what you can do is do his like 3-hit string while like strafing around them and doing the string at the same time. And no one can hit you. So you're walking in circles doing like 1, 2, 3 with an uppercut at the end, and you can move during the uppercut, and it's awesome.
I could never get the combos to work. I don't know if it was my controller or what, so I just punched everything to death.
You do have to mash them out. And another sort of thing we neglected to mention, when you get a character, you have to feed them image, which is like EXP you find from monsters and items. And like you unlock skills as they go by, which is kind of neat. And it's cool because the capstone skill for everyone is like a mana ability. It like uses a new resource that you didn't have before.
Yeah. Wait, Glib, what was your favorite character? It was also the fan lady?
Lame.
She's cool. What do you mean?
See,
lame. I bet you didn't even play as the Don, the Italian guy.
Look, man, I just did what wasn't right in front of me, man.
Jesus.
See, my favorite character was this. I forget what. I think she's part of the Hawk group because I think her dad's like a main Hawk guy.
Marguerite.
Bianca.
Devin's girlfriend.
Bianca.
Oh,
She looks like she has a virus and she's turning into stone.
that's pretty cool.
Just thought it was funny / interesting because she had like all this untapped lore, and she just looks cool too.
Yeah, I don't remember her as strongly, but
it was just mostly like the way she looked.
Oh, do you rescue her from Turkey or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I remember
she
her.
can't talk. I think her dad's the boss in Turkey, I think.
The ideal woman. Yeah, I there were only a couple of characters where I was like, fuck this. Like, Sam Smith was pretty bad. He's a big fat guy with a ball on a chain.
Isn't there a singer named Sam Smith?
They're the same person, yeah. He was in this game. Yeah, the Dracula guy who's like a weird vampire who's wearing a chastity belt. That guy was tight. He was really bad, but he was cool looking. I feel like I'm the only one who unlocked everyone.
Yeah. Well, you missed what's his name from?
Oh, yeah. I didn't have India. That's true.
Yeah, he had a pretty cool design. He had a bunch of arms.
As they do. I've heard they're very good at that.
I think I should have played it more thoroughly to compare Shao and X.
Yeah, the one problem with the game is there's a lot of characters, but not a lot of content relative to how much EXP you get to level everyone up. So it's very hard to get everyone and get them maxed out to see what they could do.
I heard if you do the Blade Master route, and then on your second playthrough or next playthrough, you can unlock the Mausoleum. And that's...
I think I was looking up, like, is there an easy way to max everyone out? And I think I heard about that, yeah. I think it might be in India, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, probably why you need the Blade Master route.
Okay. Well, yeah, that would have been good to piece together. I only sort of cursorily looked it up because I didn't give it much thought. Yeah,
so what was the point of Ko? Do you guys remember that guy?
Yeah, so that's sort of another manga difference. Like, he was the guy, he was the boy, right?
Yeah,
he's like he's like
pretty much all he
portrayed as sort of like a rich kid, like almost love interest, even though she doesn't give a shit about him.
Yeah, he's the same as that in the game too. It's just not as noticeable.
Yeah, it's like in the game. I feel like he didn't have much to do. There were like 3 different scenes where he was like, I'm worried about the main character because this is like a gender bent like, action movie where usually it's like some lady who's like, oh, I hope Arnold Schwarzenegger is okay. It's like the opposite here. So he didn't really do anything, but in the manga he sort of has a bigger role. He has like different motivations. He has more like scenes where he's doing things and failing because he's a nerd.
Yeah, he's integrated a lot better.
You can brainjack him, apparently.
the love interest, you can brainjack him? Is that true?
There's a brainjack image, so I don't know.
That could just be
similar from the one from the manga, so maybe they used part of that.
Yeah,
cool.
As the basis for.
Oh, whoa! Sorry,
they have some kind of encounter or fight or whatever in the manga, don't they? Or like a evil
when they're in South America.
Yeah, you definitely go to South America, but yeah, that's one of the things that also was cut from the game.
So then, would you guys say that the manga is a better way to consume Maken?
Yeah, I think I would definitely recommend, if you're at all interested in this game and you haven't played it yet or whatever, I would say probably check out that first and then try the game, Because I feel like if you tried the game first, you wouldn't even bother with the manga and be like, fuck this. It's going to be bad. Because the narrative in the game is like almost incomprehensible.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff where you encounter it, you're like, what?
Very
Why
much
are
so.
these people Iron Maidens? Like, what is going on? Why are there Nazis?
See, it felt like a thing where there was a lot of just like you're supposed to just be very observant or something.
No, it wasn't like Dark
And
Souls
also-
where there's items that like tell you everything.
No,
about
I mean like, like if you paid attention enough, you would see it. Not,
Pay attention to the
I
8-second
guess-
horribly voiced cutscenes.
Oh, let's talk.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
horribly voiced
So there, there's like two like scientist characters. They're at the home base where the main character's dad works, where he invented the mind sword or whatever. And so they're supposed to be one guy who's like very carefree and laid back, and then there's supposed to be a lady who's like stern and serious, and they're like comic foils to each other. But the guy sounds like he's been like ripping tobacco out of a bong or something. His voice is so ridiculously deep. It's like the woman like says something. She's like, "Oh, dude," and he's like, it's like 8 octaves below like a normal person's voice, and he's supposed to be like comic relief, like funny, like carefree guy.
And on
Like a
top of this
nerd.
all, it sounds like it was recorded in a subway bathroom.
Yeah, that is very, very a lot of bathroom. What is it called? Acoustics going on, or someone's closet, maybe.
Well, Maken X has English voice acting, so it's just a little different. But I found that the
Oh,
voice
really?
acting is it's
It was English and X, but they went back to Japanese for the
because
later version.
it's because Shao wasn't ported to America. It was a weird
only in
thing.
Europe, I think.
Yeah, only
They
in
don't
Europe
care enough to be
for the
translated
PS2.
into European languages.
I don't know why they just didn't use the old dub. Maybe it was just too bad.
Sales over there weren't so great at that time, weren't they?
Oh, I wouldn't be able to tell you about sales for these games.
Yeah, probably not a lot. I mean, one of the consoles this game was released on died. So
But I think part of why I keep associating Maken with like that arcade aesthetic is because the voice acting in the English version is so much like the voice acting you'd hear in like an arcade game.
I used to play House of the Dead 2 so much. I'd like go to arcades and stuff, play all the time whenever I could. And I hadn't played it in a little while, and we had a Dreamcast when I was younger. My brother won a raffle at school or something. It was like, oh my god, we have a Dreamcast. And they were like, they're selling House of the Dead 2. And I was a little bit older. I hadn't played it in a while, and I put it in, and I never realized how fucking bad the voice acting is. It's like they hired people who they not only are they not English speakers, it's like they've been raised in like a dungeon for 20 years. They have no idea how to like imitate how a person talks.
That sounds about right.
The script also bothered me in quite a few places because you could hear the voices in Japanese and see what's written in the text. And there's a couple places where it's like, there's one spot where you're talking to Kay in the image world, and she says, you're going to get my dad back even if I have to kill God. But in the text, it says, even if I have to kill the devil. It's like,
That's the
okay.
opposite. I don't know if you guys know this, but they're actually different people.
Yeah, and that happens quite a few times. And the way they address Maken too in a couple of scenes is like, in the Japanese version, it's more of like enemies don't think of him as a living, breathing person. You know, they think of him as a thing. And the subtle changes between that are kind of like, I think it's in Moscow. The first time it happens is when the trainer there says something or to the effect, "I'll kill you" to Maken.
Yeah.
But in the Japanese version, it's "I'll destroy you." So it's the same meaning, but it's kind of different on how they think of Maken.
That's interesting.
That is a really interesting thing I wouldn't have thought too, I guess. But then again, we had the English version,
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think that it was just it's hard for me to say anything positive about it without sounding kind of fake, but it was entertaining to watch those cutscenes, regardless of the quality, or probably because of the quality.
Yeah,
They weren't too bad, honestly. I liked them.
Some of them were definitely better than others. Some of them were pretty rough.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of like cheesy sci-fi.
Yeah, it does have that aspect to it. If they had like sort of a more manic, sort of more high pitched version of the Joker guy instead of like a jazz bass vocalist or something, whoever they chose for this role, then I think it would have retained much more of the campiness. But there are a couple performances where it's like, why did you pick this person? This makes no sense. But it did make sense in terms of the audio aspect of the game.
Music.
Music was really
composed by.
I don't know who did it.
Is Meguro. I don't know if he composed it, but he did it. It was probably other people, but yeah, it was Shoji Meguro, the Persona Man.
The Hong Kong track sounded a bit Persona-like.
When I got in there, I Googled that. I was like, who made this music? Because they're ripping off him, or it actually is Shoji Meguro. But yeah, you can definitely get the vibe for like where he really started to hit his stride with making that Persona sound in sort of some of the tracks, like Brazil, very, very much in that aesthetic.
One of the European tracks, I don't remember which one, sounds a bit like Digital Devil Saga.
Yeah, it wasn't Britain, but it was maybe before or after that. But I know the one you're talking about. It's sort of more like sort of wailing guitar, like strung out.
Yeah, I think this is one of the ones that he actually went on record saying that it was the time that he started to really feel comfortable working on music, because the technical aspect, I forgot what he was talking about, but the actual tools that he was using created a better quality sound, and he had more freedom too. So you can, I guess it's a better representation of his music or his taste rather than the sound, the music that he made for Persona 1.
Right.
But I wouldn't be able to tell you which songs in the original Persona 1 OST he made, though, to be honest. Besides Aria of Everyone's Souls.
Yeah. I haven't listened to that entire soundtrack. I've heard a couple tracks, and you can get some inklings of what he's really going for, but in this game it's sort of like you can really tell where he hit tempo on some of these songs, where it's like he's been doing that ever since, pretty much.
Yeah. The other thing about the music, so apparently there's another you can get the secret one, and that was the one that has a song that I've been trying to find. That's a English singer.
Yeah, so the context for this is you're reading some interview or whatever where Shoji Meguro said that his favorite track or recording or something was the end credits for this game, but with an English vocal, which we have never been able to find.
Yeah, and I still haven't found it because I didn't know that there was stuff that you had to do to get in a second FMV at the end. I was going to ask you if you did it.
If that's true, I don't know if anyone's done it, because I spent a little while trying to find that track and I couldn't find anything. And it's not in the OST either. So I don't know if
we'll have to ask Atlas for it.
Yeah, Atlas, hand it over, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating, to be honest. I guess I'll have to play through it. It says that from this guide, it says it's harder to get in Shao than it is to get in X, though. So you probably didn't get it.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I was going for the Blade Master route, and I just missed it by one quest, basically.
At the very beginning.
Yep. I really fucked that up. But I got to play the rest of the content, so I'm okay.
Yeah. This game was like weird to me because of some of the other credits for the game. So this is one of the games that Katsura Hishino directed, the guy that Modern Persona and Catherine.
Nocturne.
So I feel like a lot of
Nocturne.
Right? Well, see, I don't know.
Maybe
he did one of them. I don't remember which.
We'll say probably.
He said it said it credits him as a supervisor for Nocturne. Don't know what that means. But it's got him there, and it also has Kazuyuki Yamai as a stage planning leader. And if you don't know who Kazuyuki Yamai is, he's the producer behind Apocalypse, which is like everyone's favorite SMT. And he
best one.
He helped with direction for Strange Journey, which actually is also the other best one.
The actually best one, the True King.
Who was the director for 4?
Oh,
Yamai?
Was it Yamai? It says supervisor when I in this credits website. I'm using Mobi. It credits.
Yeah, it's him. It's Yamai.
Why is it being so weird about it? Planning. Okay, yeah. But okay. Sorry, I'm just confused by it saying structuring / supervisor Kazuki Yamai. So then what did Eiji Ishida do then? He just
hung out.
He's writer, isn't he?
Oh yeah, writer and art director.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing that's interesting to me is just the cast has a bunch of people who are old blood and new blood, and they made this weird game.
Yeah, it's a very weird but also very cool game, in my opinion.
Yeah, the music is definitely the highlight though, because it's one of the few places that are games that I could actually listen to the music outside of the context of the game.
Yes, it does have that quality for sure. Some of the tracks, some of them are like very gamey, where they sort of have too short of a loop, or the loop is like really badly done.
Oh yeah.
But other ones, yeah, they like Hake theme. I think is great. I think that track rules, and I think the normal boss battle theme is great.
So I just read your notes. Can anyone stop Maguro?
No, they can't stop him.
I hope they stop him.
He's always gonna be alive. He's gonna be Persona 99. He's gonna be making the same fucking music for every time.
They're gonna make an algorithm that's like a Maguro bot that just like.
You know what he's gonna do? Just to spite you, he's gonna sub in the Maken X soundtrack for the next Persona game. It's gonna be all those. He's gonna
need an apprentice here soon because he's gonna be working on 3 games at once.
Damn.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Oof. We'll talk about that when we talk about news someday.
Another day, not this time.
So I guess the next part is your personal highlights, favorite parts, and why you like them. Glib, you're first.
Yes.
Okay.
Stop eating popcorn.
I wasn't eating. It's just when I play games, when I emulate, I don't listen to the music. So I just had nothing to say because I didn't listen to it.
Well, we're on personal highlights now, but
I'm just
okay. Thank you for not engaging with a huge portion of the game.
What are you doing right now, Glib? Are you drawing on line paper?
I was listening, bro. I was drawing too, but
oh my god,
multitasker.
Let me do me, all right.
Anyway. The true mega.
Anyway, personal highlights. I thought the experimentation stuff was really cool. Like if the movement was better and it had 2 sticks, I'd be really into this game. The designs are cool, but I don't like how Kaneko's designs look in 3D. They look really weird, and because this game is really old, I'm not really old, but it's old enough.
Yeah.
But they look weird. They look even weirder because they're old, and the graphics don't match up with. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, because the concept art for each character is like awesome, and you see it in game, you're like, "Fuck, this is terrible."
It looks like it's made out of clay or something.
Yeah, I mean this is like Dreamcast. They're just now figuring out 3D. It's like only a couple years old, and there are some polygonal body parts.
I just wish this game had more like, I guess, attack options, because it felt like I was just doing the same stuff every time, like the same tactics, really.
Yes. Yeah, I sort of spoke earlier about how cool it was that there was actual variation in the attacks, but you end up having basically 4 options. You have like 4 normal attacks, then I guess you have a special ability too sometimes.
For me, all I remember was normal attacking and special attacking, and then jumping forward and jumping backwards. That's all I remember.
Jumping forwards.
Jump over them, because if you jump over them, you can hit their back and does extra damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing the easy game.
Shut up.
6 strats.
So what
Shao's
about you,
for real.
Neb?
Personal highlights rather probably be like the variety and cast of the characters is pretty cool. Everyone has sort of a different play style.
I was gonna say that.
Well, it's like the most noticeable part of the gameplay that's sort of interesting. You know, there's like the one guy is like I don't know if he's a pirate or what. He has a peg leg, so he like hobbles everywhere. So he's really slow and awkward, but he has extremely long reach.
Wait, the black guy?
Yeah, he's like a journalist or something. He's French, I think. I don't know. He has a peg leg though, and he walks like he has to take a shit all the time. Like he's like, ooh. Like his cool thing is he has a spear and he can call down lightning eventually. So he's pretty interesting. He plays like very defensively, he pokes from far away, but then like Fangirl is really fast. Her string moves her forward, so you can maneuver around. And then
can you say her name? It's Faye.
Shao, like something like that. It's like Faye.
Chan Lee.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Faye Lee. Anyway, so yeah, characters were really cool. Some of the boss fights were really cool, like the fight against the angel guy and the fight against the mafia guy was kind of cool. The music was pretty good overall. Some of the tracks were a little rough. Some of them were very awesome. The emulation was not my personal highlight. We'll get to that later.
What about you, Spider?
I really like the very end, the last dungeon where you're going through that, I don't know what it was, like
weird dream world.
That dream world, and you're going up that little spirally path, and you see the little, was it pagoda up there? That was the coolest looking area in the whole game, I think.
Yes, that is a good set piece aesthetically for sure.
Yeah. What else? There is a bunch of other stuff too that I saw that I noticed from, I guess, 4. One of them was like the image world. It looks just like the backgrounds in 4 when you're fighting the bosses.
Oh yeah, that's sort of weird. Like there's always an explosion happening, sort of orangey.
Yeah, that wispy psychedelic wave stuff. Yeah,
they copied Maken X.
I don't know if they're just trying to recall the same imagery or if it was just a coincidence just to fill up space. Who knows?
Yeah, it's probably like what their go-to for making something ethereal and mysterious and sort of looking dangerous.
Yep. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. Also, the music, like everyone else besides Glib, who didn't listen to the music.
Yeah.
The designs are pretty cool. I like the butterfly thing in the one that looks like Throne. And it spits fire.
The only butterfly I can think of is the
Tommy gun
guys with Tommy guns.
Yeah. I have it in the one of the books I have for Shao, one of Kaneko's books. That design looks very cool in there.
Yeah. The aesthetic is so bizarre. You get like some like weird Eastern ninja stuff, and then you find like robot Nazis.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess this is sort of futuristic, and then it's like also there's Italian gangster men with Tommy guns, but also they're moths.
Then you have like Nazi Spider-Man in Moscow. It's just okay.
Yeah, I don't know. They went a lot of places with this.
Yeah.
Wait
Yeah.
a second. Nazis with machine guns in their chest? Is that a JoJo reference?
Shut up.
Oh
Fuck
my
outta here.
god.
You forgot the best
Cut
part,
that out of this podcast.
Neb, the president. And he comes out with...
Yeah, how could we forget the president? God, I didn't get to talk about him enough. He was my fucking favorite. He was awesome. So, like, you infiltrate Washington, D.C., which the Japanese think is like an underground city filled with robots, which is not, I'm pretty sure. So you infiltrate this weird robot lair, and the president is standing in a boxing ring. And he's like, all right, let's fight. And he's in a giant robot. And you fuck up the giant robot, and he's like, "Oh, just kidding. Now it's for real." And he's in person now.
He unscrews his head on the other robot.
Yeah. He has like a giant robot, and he's like, "Just kidding. This is my real body." He unscrews his entire head off and puts it on the human body, like the robot sort of tiny body. God, that fight fucking ruled.
I just couldn't believe it when it was so funny.
Yeah, it's a shame that's so far near the end. I feel like people won't get to that point. They might drop out because it's a little too boring for them or something.
But it's only like, what, 12 hours?
Just
Don't
take
think
your
it's-
time with it. Don't rush through it. It's
Yeah. There were definitely times where I felt like we were trying to record this episode a lot earlier in our lifetimes, but we got delayed. So like I had what I thought was a deadline, and I felt a little bit like it was a chore to play sometimes. But overall, I think I had a positive experience, and it was cool.
How long did it take you guys to beat, would you say? Or did you guys not really
I
track
did not
time?
track time.
Yeah, I didn't
I think
track
there's
time,
a
but
timer on my save file, but
yeah, that would be a good idea to check. Mine was probably over what you said, like probably over 12, because I did one of the longer routes, and also I spent a little time leveling people.
I meander a lot too, so mine's probably pretty long.
Yeah, I would like explore every part of the map. I do that with every game.
That's good. That's good for you, Nab.
Yeah, what about Glib? Do you play for 30 minutes because you couldn't hear anything?
I'm not gonna lie. Some of these maps I just ran through because I knew where to go.
You hated this game. Did you like this game or If more?
That's a real question.
Oh my god!
How is that even a
this is
question?
nightmarish. What is wrong with you?
This is why we need to have a Zoomer on this podcast.
I'm just saying, man.
It's true. We're all
You don't get
boomers.
it, man. I restarted this game maybe 10 times from the beginning. Like you don't understand my pain.
Did you keep getting distracted with Fortnite dances or something?
Insane.
Yeah. See, I think the thing that I like most about this game was, well, I mean, I guess it's the things around it, because with all the good Megaten games, there's usually like a complementary story that's told through the mangas or drama CDs or something. And although I didn't finish the Maken X manga, it's just really good quality compared to most Megaten manga, which is saying something, because I think that Megaten manga tends to be higher quality. I can't really say anything about the manga after Persona 2 mangas, because those ones are kind of not as good looking. But if you look at like SMT If's mangas or the Strange Journey one, like there's a level of quality and effort put into it that you don't really see normally. They always complement the story. And I don't know a lot about what's her name? Hideyuki Q? No.
Hayashida Q?
Hayashida. Wow, okay. Well, Q. I don't really know a lot about her, but her art is so cool looking and it fits the aesthetic. And I mean, it contrasts that a lot with the model-esque concept art we have. But I really like it. And then also
it was so cool. It was like she had such like cool cyberpunk sort of moments, like in India with the TVs, and I think part of Hong Kong.
It's like a fever
like
dream.
Yeah, but it had sort of like the cyberpunky stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Like very grim future, like Ghost in the Shell. Everything's like dirty and
Yeah.
weird technology.
I like when she's fighting. I think she's fighting Pei Shan in Hong Kong. Is when like you have that scene where all those hands are reaching through the TV and like trying to pull her in.
Yeah. That's definitely one of the scenes I was thinking.
Yeah, it's just good art, and then the Kaneko's art is probably at its strongest here. It is probably one of my favorite non-Strange Journey like collections because he just kind of goes crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like he just had so much. You could tell that he's having fun because I don't think that you see this level of just like random, not random, I guess, because it's all pretty deliberate. But,
but it's variety. There's such a wide
variety.
range. Like I was saying, you have clockwork Nazi men and moth gangsters, which is not a very easy aesthetic to unify.
I mean, he just took Mothman and made it a literal man.
Gave him a gun. That's what Mothman is.
Mothman. Give Mothman gun.
I know my next fan art.
Yeah, that's my that's my presidential platform. I'm going to give every Mothman a gun.
And then I guess the last thing is the brain jacking concept. Like you were saying, how each of this like genre of games has a weird way of trying to introduce your character selection, and I think brain jacking is one of the most interesting because it does kind of
most intelligent because it introduces like an actual choice, and you can, to a degree, choose what your character pool is going to be. You can not brain check certain people because you don't think it's right. Like, would most people go and knock out Fei Wei Xing or whatever?
No, they wouldn't.
Her. No, I did because I wanted to see if I could do it, and it was awesome because it let me.
And I think
because she's like a quest giver. She's like the first quest giver you meet. That's so weird.
And it's just cool because this game also does one of the things that Megaten doesn't do very well, I would say, which is give like choices weight. Like you were saying earlier, it's cool to see that there's actual like choices, and it's sad that this game exists and then they don't do that ever again.
That's a really good point to make because in every game I can think of, like, with some of them you gain points or whatever towards the thing, but with quite a few of them it's at the end, not at the end, but like mid halfway through you side with someone and then you choose the ending or whatever with one dialogue option.
Yeah,
maybe it's a bit easier since it revolves around the fates of two characters, so you're kind of choosing between them.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The scope is so much more reduced that it's possible. Yeah. And also, like, you don't want to, in a 160-hour JRPG, you don't want to be like, hey, do you remember minute 3? You chose this ending.
You didn't eat the donuts, so now...
Yeah. You were a little too mean to this love interest, so now the whole game's going to change.
You chose the wrong option at the very first option.
Yeah. Your name had 2 vowels in it, so this is the ending you get.
You didn't listen to the music.
Look, you're making jokes. The same thing happened to me in If. Like the game first started, and
I can forgive If though.
The first choice you make, that's what matters. I'm still mad at that. I got tricked.
Oh, I restarted. I picked Yumi too because I didn't know, and then I restarted and picked Reiko.
Yeah, that's another game that fucks you over early on. That's the most early because that's like the first character you talk to.
It's the first thing that happens.
That's fucked up. Hey, which ending do you want to do? You better decide quick because we've got to play the game after this.
But I think it's just crazy to me. Maken, in general, like I was reading interviews and stuff, and the saddest thing is how much hope they put into this game. They're saying how they would make more if people liked it. They had ideas for like things to do after, and it's just
This just screams cult, underselling cult classic.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
It's got all the hallmarks. It's like kind of shitty, but not shitty enough for you to be mad at it because it's so endearing with a lot of the things that it tries and does successfully.
But then that's why they released it twice because you could tell that they're just like, please love our game.
It's so sad. Yeah, I remember hearing about this game back in the day and not thinking anything of it because I didn't know what it was supposed to be, and the name didn't tell me anything. So it wasn't until much later that I ever gave it a shot. So probably their fault a little bit.
The nice cover art got me interested.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
cover
always
art's nice.
Yeah, I always thought that was cool looking. She looks really creepy and like
Yeah.
deranged.
Despite how she is in the game, like Kay is like one of my favorite designs too for a protagonist.
I've seen before I even played this game, I saw some of like fan art and stuff and like renders or whatever, and those like images, she always looks insane or really angry. But then in the game, she's just like she's like a character from Sailor Moon or something. She's like a high school girl and she just complains about everything.
She's 16, by the way. I looked it up.
Yeah, okay.
Even when she gets angry and yells at Maken, it's still just
it just sounds like
innocent.
Yeah, it's like a little baby talking. Speaking of which is really creepy, in the fucking like first or second chapter of the manga, they just show her topless.
She's 16.
I'm glad none of the characters made a big deal out of it, though. They just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is a serious situation. Let's not focus on that.
Yeah. Well, they were like, she just fought the. By the way, one of the coolest designs. This is how I imagine all Russian people. A weird ballet dancing guy wearing an ushanka that shoots scalpels out of his tongue. Again, that is what every Russian person is to me, mentally.
That's fair. I kind of imagine all Russian people being dangerous to some degree.
Yeah, they all know ballet.
We've just lost all our Russian listeners.
all one of them.
Dang, he was a Hawk guy too, right?
He was the first Hawk guy in both the game and the manga that you encounter.
You also need Inaba for the Blade Master route. Oh, don't forget him.
That's true. Yeah. Speaking of early options and Andre, the Hake, I didn't even know this was an option. So they tutorialize you, and they're like, you can brainjack characters, and like you're on a crashing plane, and you can brainjack a pilot. So logically, you're like, of course I'm going to steal the pilot's body and fly the escape ship. But you don't have to do that. You can just keep the guy, Andre, and you can keep him for the whole game.
And Andre's cool.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do that. It's tight. I wish I had him for my playthrough, but I'll have to just stare longingly at clip art of him or concept art.
I think you might need Ina better for Maken's route too. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think there's lots of weird stuff like that. It didn't end up mattering for me because I fucked mine up.
Just don't do what I did. Don't use Inaba on ice skaters.
Yeah, he's not very good for boss fights, as it turns out. He's a little weak.
So then, I guess that leads to what are your guys' like, what lowlights, worst aspects, the things that bothered you the most about the game?
I thought we already went over this with half the.
Oh yeah,
discussion.
We started it, but I guess if you want to sum up your dissatisfactions, go ahead.
Okay, so I really think the hitboxes in this game are very confusing. I can't really tell like how far the range is, and especially because it's first person, and I can't tell like how far I got to be back and how far close I could be in the hit. I was fighting, I think, the butcher in the what stage was it? The I think it was Moscow. No, it's not Moscow. I think it was one after Moscow. Anyway, he has one attack where he chops overhead, and he has another attack where he chops sideways twice. And I couldn't tell how far back I had to jump backwards because if I jump back once, he would still hit you.
That guy becomes a normal enemy much later, right? The guy you're talking about?
I think it's normally in that game. I think he's normally that level too.
Okay, right. So that's where iframes come in because that whole attack is active when it's swinging. So if your character model touches that, you take damage. But with iframes for Maken Shao, if you timed it right, you could basically dash through the blade when he was doing the sideways one. So that made it much easier in Shao. But I guess it was hard for you to strafe in X for that.
The strafing wasn't a problem. It was just that because of the way the room was set up, it was very skinny and long. And because it's first person, I couldn't tell what was behind me. So I just often have time just backing up backwards and there's no room. So I had to plan my spacing. Well, not by guessing already, and I don't really know. I can't really tell how far his hits are, and then I can't even jump over him because his overhead hit hits you even when you're in the air.
That's fucked up.
Yeah,
Just playing defense.
that's pretty crazy.
You know what that sounds like? I don't want to go on a tangent, but I just have been making progress in Bloodborne, and there's an encounter just like that, where there's a guy with huge sweeping attacks down a hallway, and the camera just ruins your life.
Sounds like every Soulsborne game.
Only some of them. What about you? What were your downlights? Opposite of highlights.
Downlights.
Yeah.
If the highlights is one, then low lights would be the other. Stupid.
No, it's downlights.
No.
Low darks.
It's downlights.
It's not. Yeah, low darks would be like whatever. Okay, I don't like this. This is the downlight for this.
Okay, cool. What's the worst part of the game? Hurry up.
For me, it's like Glib talked about it earlier. It's the graphics are so like ugly to me. I hate that when I like going into replaying this for the podcast, I had I have this huge catalog of knowing what the art looks like, the or what the characters are supposed to look like, and then like I guess this is where me and Glib differ. I actually think that they adapt Kaneko's art better in the PS2 games, but in this game it's just so ugly and they don't look like how they're supposed to. So I'm looking at like literally anyone, looking at Andre, I'm just like, okay, well he vaguely looks like how he's supposed to, but he kind of just looks like a like a not good version of that art. So when you have such highly detailed art and it just doesn't translate well, it just bothers me. And then I mean, I could tell that there was there was, I guess, a stress with the way that they tried to create the different environments, because it kind of goes back and forth between being pretty good and then being kind of lazy.
Yeah.
But it's the models mostly. I just don't like that they don't look like how they're supposed to. It's that whole thing of how you look when you take your photo versus when you're when someone else takes your photo. What about you, Neb?
I guess the worst part is probably like just the fact that it's so old that the controls are clunky and weird. Not incredibly responsive. And yeah, I guess it's sort of a double-edged sword. I earlier praised like the fact that the designs were so varied and cool, but also it sort of gave a sense that there's no unifying aesthetic, and you never had any real idea of what they were like going for, because you encounter so many different things. So it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. And beyond that, really my biggest problems with the emulation, which isn't necessarily the fault of the game.
Yeah, just buy a European
version.
No, just buy a European PS2. Yeah. Import
another
the game.
$40 on the CD.
Yeah, I mean it's easy. I mean, whatever.
I definitely had a problem with the voice recording quality throughout the entire game. And then the script like not matching up to some of the stuff being said was mildly annoying, but it's not that big of a deal, honestly. It bothered me. The enemies freezing was not enjoyable. I mean, it didn't happen too much later on, like I said before, but it was still a big bummer when it did happen. What else? I know there was something else that really bothered. Oh, I got lost a lot. Like, I didn't know where I was supposed to go or find stuff sometimes. I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna go over here and do this and hope for the best.
Yeah, there are about 3 levels like that for me, where I was like, I have literally no idea what you're trying to get me to do. I think the one was in Arabia.
Oh, sometimes I would just forget because I would just turn off the game and next day like, I
don't like the backtracking too. I remember one level, the same level with the butcher. You have to press a button for an elevator, and you go in the elevator, it just goes up and down with no stop, with the same one floor. So you have to just backtrack to where you came from, and it doesn't tell you that at all. You just expect you to do that for some reason.
Yeah, some of the elevator stuff is really annoying. There's one in Turkey that's sort of like that too.
I remember that. Is that the one with the boiler or something?
Yeah, the prison one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that sums up everything. If you like Maken X, pick it up in stores now. It says
it's the latest release. Fire up that Sega Dreamcast you got for Christmas.
I would be surprised if there was a store that actually had this in stock.
it's
Buy 'em online at GameStop before they close down.
Or maybe a pawn shop.
Yeah,
maybe.
probably. Good
So, I mean, if you really do want to get it, though, you can get it for like I've seen it go for as low as $10, but right now all Megaten things are just increasing in value. So if you're a collector and you want to own either of those things, get it like
buy.
yeah, because it's like 35 is like the average price for the Dreamcast version, and actually the PS2 version is not too crazy. It's like $12, but just get it. Just get it.
$10-12 is a pretty good deal. It's got a lot of problems for a game, but it's still pretty fun.
Yeah, and then if you see Kaneko walking down the street, well, his ghost, because he's not alive anymore, you can have him sign. That's just not saying that. People are going to actually believe he's dead.
He's living with the Holy Ghost now.
Yeah.
Just like he always wanted.
So I guess without further ado, let's get to some of the questions.
Yeah, so we put out the call on Twitter and Facebook earlier to get some questions. We have quite a few for Twitter. The first question we have is from Michael Sanchez on Twitter. It says, what are your guys' thoughts on the lack of SMT songs in Catherine Full Body and what that may mean for the series and its representation? Especially since people are already in a hub about the lack of news for SMT5, the Forbidden Game.
I'm a little surprised that they took them out. I figured they would have just added more in. So I'm not sure why they did that, but maybe it's because they felt like people weren't playing them enough or something.
What, is this a reference? I don't know the full context of this. Was there a jukebox function in the game or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the jukebox. And so one of the things that I'm not sure about is that if I remember correctly, the SMT songs are like some of the harder songs to unlock or whatever. So I almost am not sure if this is actually the case where they're just not in the songs in it or not there anymore. But I also remember that you unlock trophies for unlocking all the songs. So then I guess if once we have some like solid proof, then I would have like a better response. But if I don't understand, I'm on Spider's side. It's a Blu-ray disc. It has like infinite memory. Like they could have just added more songs. Like they could have put Jack Bros in the game. That would have been cool. And then I don't want to talk about SMT5 news even or anything related to that. So I'll just,
yeah. I think basically what he was saying was like, there's the base complaint from everyone that there's no news about SMT5 and there's nothing to report yet. Certainly, everyone knows that in his brain. So like there's that base problem, and then he's basically sort of implying that, at least by my reading, that since they're removing those songs from Catherine Full Body, maybe people are going to feel like they're pulling back from the franchise, which I think is a little bit too soon of a judgment. It's too soon of a judgment because SMT5, there's not going to be any news. It's not going to be PGS.
Persona 5 has a crossover with Catherine too, so that might be part of the reason why.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to make it relate more to the content that the people who they're trying to get to buy the game are familiar with, if that makes sense. So if they're promoting Persona 5 with this game, but also including Persona 5 stuff in the game, like that mode with the Joker, it makes sense that music, but to take out the music,
Joker replacing the main character in Persona 5.
Speaking of the Joker, that comes out this Friday, so get excited.
Prepared,
right? This Friday?
That was October.
Oh no, it's October. Why'd I get so happy for next weekend?
Spreading misinformation.
You guys like ruined my whole month, really, because I was really happy.
Won't suffer like the rest of us.
What do you think, Glib, about this question. You have some
I
input?
think I already said how much I listen to music during games, but I mean,
we're not.
it
We're
seems
not
like
the
a
audio
loss.
expert.
I don't really. I listen to music sometimes when I play games, but like I've never actually really used the jukebox function in any game I've played. I don't really care, but it seems like a loss, so it's a shame, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not
I-
like we're not talking about like level themes, are we? Are the used for that, or
It's I can't remember which
strictly
exact
just
songs there
jukebox?
were. I think it's just within the bar part of the game. I don't really remember.
So you could be mad about that then, yeah. Okay, if it's like part of the actual gameplay.
No, I don't
Yeah.
like the decision, but I guess I can kind of see why they would do it, but
Right.
I don't like it.
Yeah, we may need to be a little bit wary of these guys. They may be removing more and more references to the actually good games.
Yeah.
So, if we got nothing else, the next up is the Seb at Dolphin Catcher writes in saying, "Give us a tier list of the fiends." Eye emoji. This is sort of a bigger ask than maybe you think about it first, because every different game has a different list of what fiends are in the game. So there would probably be like 40.
No.
I think it's more than that.
Is Pascal a
It is.
fiend? And if?
Yes.
Yeah, and if he's a fiend.
Yeah.
We just pick one game. Like, Neb, just say a game that comes to mind.
I have 4. 4 is a good list.
Why'd you pick the 4?
Well, I'm on the wiki now.
Well, actually, no, you picked the best one. Okay.
Yeah, because that's Chemtrail.
Yeah, that's why.
Obviously, that's number 1. He's S, so he's S plus tier, right? Can we all agree Chemtrail is S plus?
I'm down.
So if you guys, I mean,
Number 1 spot.
I'm going to post the list so you guys can see.
Yeah, I would say David is up there because he has drip.
David's
He's fun at the
He's-
beginning.
Put him
He
at
has
the bottom.
absolute swag.
Put him at the bottom.
This man has a violin. He's wearing a pink chef hat.
That's how I imagine Glib dresses on a day-to-day.
Thanks.
Oh, it's not a chef hat. It's a
You
beret.
made me. I literally slapped my knee. That was a knee slapper.